Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Artesian Basketball here on WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined, as always, by Artesian head coach Kip Staggs. The Artesians playing really well right now as they continue to pick up some wins. Picked up a big one last Saturday afternoon over Terre Haute North in the John R. Wooden Gym, and they'll look to continue it this weekend with two games coming up. Back to that kind of normal schedule, Friday and Saturday on the road on both of those games. Let's talk, though, about the Terre Haute North contest Saturday afternoon. We talked about it during the show the week before. That's always kind of an odd start time. You normally don't have those games at really any point in time during the season, or will never probably play at that point in time during the season until you get maybe into the semi-state regional round. But you guys kind of came out a little bit slow, hadn't traditionally played really well in that particular scenario. Came out slow, but kind of got the ship righted and ended up with the win over Terre Haute North.
Well, you're exactly right, Eric. Our fourth quarter was really good. Actually, from the end of the third quarter through the fourth, we played some really good basketball, and we attacked. We were aggressive. We got the ball to the basket. We pushed the tempo. We defended fairly well, and we really put a pretty good stretch of minutes together. And unfortunately, we didn't play awful in the first half. We just didn't play well enough. We found ourselves down 21-18 at the end of the half, and really had to make a push at the end of the second quarter to put ourselves in that position, and then kind of played even there in the third, and then we got some momentum going into the late third into the fourth.
This is a Terre Haute North ball club that had won some games, a pretty good record coming in. They've had some guys in and out of the lineup. Really neither team able to come out very, very hot to begin with. You guys kind of got out early. They came back, kind of went back and forth. They had a little bit of a lead. But we talked about it. You talked about how well of a coached ball club they are. One thing I noticed is their kids seem to pick up on some of the stuff when you guys were trying to do some things. They had an idea of, at least they've seen it, they've been scouted. Obviously, we see that out of your ball club a ton. I don't always see that out of other teams that you face, and you saw that early on. So they had a pretty good scout at times on you guys.
Oh, absolutely. And you know that going in, they're going to try to take certain things away from you, and you know that they're going to try to take the ball out of certain guys' hands. And one thing that they did, they face guarded Reed Staggs early in the game and tried to deny him the reversal pass, and then they did the same thing with Luke going to the left side. It made it difficult for Jackson to reverse it. So they did some things to take us out of our sync a little bit, and to their credit. But our credit, our guys hung in there and played through some of that, and didn't shoot the ball very well in the first half. And I thought some of it, we had a few good shots, a few were rushed. We've got to play with tempo, but you got to play with poise, and you got to play with a sense of purpose and not be in such a hurry. And I thought there was a few times we got in a hurry in the first half.
Got in a hurry a little bit in the first half, but that second half, especially the end of the third, end of the fourth quarter, you guys kind of settled down, like you said, and were able to really put the game away at the free throw line.
Well, we really did. Jackson did a great job at the free throw line. Jonathan Collier hit some big free throws, and Reed hit some big free throws. So, those three guys stepped up there and knocked them down when they were crucial. It's one thing to hit a free throw 2 minutes into the game. It's another thing to hit free throws with 4 minutes left in the game and the game's still in the balance. So, you got to be able to hit them throughout the entire game, and I was proud of the way our guys responded.
Yeah, I think you guys hit up. Didn't miss any in the fourth quarter, did you?
We were
one late.
We were 21 of 25 for the game, so we did a great job from the line.
Able to shoot at that point at the 84%. That's going to win you a lot of ball games.
That was a good place to start from. Yeah, that's right.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the win over Terre Haute North on Saturday afternoon here in the John R. Wooden Gym.
Well, you see John Collier coming off a down screen, finding himself a little bit of an opening, and knocks that short little 15-foot shot down, and he's barely done a good job of doing that here lately. Here's a nice penetrating kick, and he finds Luke on the left side for a three. And then here's Tyler Stead hitting the three at the top of the key, and you find ourselves up 8-1, but as you notice on the board, it's quickly back to 8-8, and we got the ball inside to Tyler, and he was able to score off the glass. And here's a nice cut by Reed, and then you see Jackson taking it one-on-one. And Jackson's really played some tough minutes. He's really done a good job in a lot of ways, and kind of an unsung hero. There's Jonathan on a nice drive as they empty out the backside. Here on an out-of-bounds play, we find Luke on a little curl and puts us in striking distance. You see we're down near 7 points in the third quarter, but we start chipping away, and there's a nice post feed, and Tyler puts it in. Here's a ball screen. Tyler sets the screen. Jonathan's able to knock that shot down. Jonathan had 17 in the game and really did a nice job for us. Here's Jackson inside, making a nice move. He's really done a good job of growing his game inside, and is one of our better three-point shooters. Here's John on the drive again, and off the glass, putting it in. And we're starting to cut that lead a little bit. We get it to 2. Now it's to 5. They went to a little 1-3-1 here late in the third quarter, and our guys responded really well. And we find Chase on the baseline for a basket. Here's Reed to start the fourth quarter, and he gets a little runner going in the paint, cuts the lead to 1, and then we come back and take the lead, and then there's Jonathan with a nice drive there to extend our lead a little bit more. So you see us just kind of chipping away, not panicking in at all, and you see we're really on the attack. We're getting in the paint. In a lot of these clips that you see, there's Jonathan on a nice drive, playing through contact, and Luke with the ball there, a little bit loose, but Tyler makes a nice backdoor cut, and we're able to secure the ball and secure the win. So, the way we played the last quarter and a half was really indicative of the way we like to play all the time.
Able to also take advantage. You mentioned Tyler on a few occasions, the fact that he was able to go down low on the block at times and really able to kind of exert himself over their lack of size down there in the block.
Absolutely, and we struggle at times just to throw the ball in there from multiple guys, and we've emphasized that and we've worked at it, and it's about timing, it's about looking at it, and you can't hold on to it. As soon as you see that guy open, you got to throw it in there, and I think we're getting a little better at that. And then, Tyler's doing a better job of finishing. And then, you've got another option now that's starting to grow with Jackson, who's made a few up and under moves, who, as you saw in the video, was able to score around the basket too. So we think we've got 2 pretty good guys in there that can both step out and shoot the 3 a little bit. And you complement those 2 with our other 3 on the floor. Makes us at times hard to guard. Also
saw there late in the third quarter, fourth quarter of play, Reed kind of took it on himself on a couple of occasions. He got to the basket. You can kind of see he kind of feels when your team needs him to get into the lane to get some baskets and things. Maybe it's coming from the head coach at that time, but kind of just seems it when he thinks it's time, I need to go in there and get in there, that he can.
Yeah, and he's been able to get in there. He needs to do a better job of finishing around the rim, and that's just being 5'9",
right.
5'10", and so he's got to do a better job of that. But he's done a good job attacking the basket and getting to the foul line. He's done a good job of that all year. He's a guy on our team that leads us in free throw attempts, and has been able to make the majority of those. So overall, pleased with how he got in there, but also pleased with how Jonathan got in there,
right,
and pleased how I thought we had more than just Reed that got in the paint, and we were able to do some good things from that standpoint. And defensively, I thought we did a good job too. We set in our 3-2 zone and made it tough for them to shoot. And but I thought they were one and done. That was probably the best part about it. I thought we rebounded much better. The first half, we got out-rebounded 18-8 in this game, and that's the first time that maybe all year we've been out-rebounded by a significant number. And we were able to match that, and we did a much better job in the second half. We out-rebounded them in the second half, and a lot of that came from we just limited the number of shots that they were able to shoot, and we were able to secure the ball in a quick fashion. So we're pleased with how we rebounded the ball, especially in the second half.
And like you said, too, defensively, you guys have continued to play well defensively, and that's let you maybe weather a little bit of those offensive droughts at times that you've run into.
Absolutely. We gave up 21 points there in the first half, and offensively we weren't in sync as well as we needed to be, and some of the credits to Terre Haute North, but I thought that the defense hung us in there. But we also looked at the fact that we got out-rebounded, and some of their baskets were offensive rebounds. So we cleaned that up in the second half. We were a little bit more efficient on the offensive end, and just really, really good win for our guys.
Really back to a normal setup this week for you guys in the prep, in terms that you're going to have a conference game on a Friday, you're going to come back on a Saturday. Both of those games are going to be on the road this week. Let's start with the one that's the big one on Friday night, the conference rival, in the county rival, if you will, with the Mooresville Pioneers. You guys will have to travel up to the Curry Center to battle Mooresville, and Coach Carter has a pretty good ball club, young team in spots, but they're getting some things done.
Well, they're better than their record shows, and they are young in places. They're led by John Eideman, who's just a really good player, all-conference football, all-conference basketball. Strohmeyer does a nice job for them inside. They're getting better guard play as the year has worn on, and they've got the McGowan kid, who's a freshman inside, who's showing some improvement. So they've won 2 in a row. They feel pretty good about themselves. They have Hall of Fame night, so it'll be a big crowd up there at the Curry Center. And so it's a really big game, and it's a big game for us too. I mean, we've fought ourselves back in the conference hunt. We need still a little bit of help, and that's one of our goals, is to win the conference, and for us to continue to have that feat in front of us, we've got to win this game on Friday. So it's important. Not only is it a county rivalry, but it's also important for conference. And then, I think also, when you come to the sectional, we're going to have to play 2 nights on a road. We're going to have to play Saturday night and Friday night on the road. So this will be a good experience for our guys here late in the year to have that back-to-back on the road scenario.
So when you look at Mooresville, you've seen Coach Carter throughout the years that's been there. He's had teams that held the ball, scored 20, 25. He's been okay with doing that. He's had teams that have gotten up and down the floor. In a couple of years ago, your ball clubs were having some great rivalry matches going back and forth. What kind of ball club are we going to see on Friday night out of Coach Carter?
Well, he's played a lot of 1-3-1, half-court zone, not the trapping zone, but more of a matchup zone. And then he's played a little 3-2 zone, and then he'll dabble in some man-to-man. So from the defensive perspective, that's what you would expect from them. And then on the offensive end, everything runs basically through Eineman and Strohmeyer. But they've got some guys that can make shots, and the Hurt kid is a nice player. He steps out there. He's kind of unassuming, but he can really shoot the ball and has great hand-eye coordination. He's a really good baseball player as well, and so he's kind of a silent assassin out there. And then the Hovius kid does a pretty good job on the point, and so they're put together pretty well, and they're probably a year, maybe 2 years away from being really good, but they're playing much better right now, and they're going to expect to win for sure.
What are you guys going to have to do then to try to combat some of the things that Coach Carter's bunch is going to do?
Well, I think first of all, we're going to have to be able to answer their zones and answer that type of pressure, and then we're also going to have to make sure that Eineman doesn't go off for 30, and we got to keep him in check. Strohmeyer off the glass, and then contest the rest of the guys where it makes them difficult for them to shoot it. And we've done a pretty good job. I got on our guys yesterday a little bit. We tend to get a little sloppy at times in the switch, and we get a little late closing out on shooters, and that was a big problem we had last year. And I reminded them we're not going back to last year, so we need to do a much better job of getting out and contesting shooters. And this is a team that's got a couple kids that can knock them down, so we're going to have to respect that from the perimeter.
Big game on Friday night. You turn back around and you're going to play a future conference opponent in the Perry Meridian Falcons up at Perry Meridian. That's usually the Thursday night, or had been the Thursday night game that had been that wasn't always the best of results. But you're going to go there on an evening. It's a Perry team that's down a little bit, but they'll be athletic. They'll have some kids that can play.
Well, you're right, and he's played some. We went to see him play a few weeks ago, and he started 3 freshmen, and he trickles in a couple of sophomores and juniors and a senior there, and the Patterson kid who's been around it seems like forever, and he's going to be a zone-oriented type coach this year. In the past, they've been more man-to-man, and they run a little chin series, some things similar to what we do on the offensive end. As you mentioned, they're down a little bit, but they got them a nice win the other night against Avon, and so they're feeling a little bit better about themselves as they head into the end of the season. So they've got a lot in front of them, and I expect them to fight and claw and get after it. The Donley kid's a really nice guard. He's really athletic. They've got a little bit of size inside, and they got another kid that's about 6'7". So they're going to present some problems for us in different ways compared to Mooresville.
All right, well, 2 big games coming up this weekend, back to kind of normal, like we said, both of them on the road. Best of luck in both those games.
Yeah, and then, we come back on Tuesday.
Right.
We've got the rescheduled event.
That's right.
With Ben Davis, with Bloomington North on Tuesday. And so that game's on Tuesday night, rescheduled from January 12th. So we hope to have a big crowd that night. And, they present a different challenge in the sense that they're a little bit more open court. They're going to press, more man-to-man. They don't have the size. They don't have Musa Jallo, who played last night at Purdue. So, they present different challenges. So each one of these games have different approaches, and will have different looks to our guys. And our guys have been through a lot of things this year. We've been through a lot of things this past week to help us prepare for all 3. but our main focus is Mooresville.
Mooresville on Friday, Saturday, Perry Meridian at Perry, and then the makeup game Tuesday night here in the John R. Wooden Gym against the Bloomington North Cougars. As always, Coach, appreciate you coming in this week. We'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
Artesian head coach Kip Staggs here inside Artesian basketball. Like we said, 3 big games coming up for the Artesians, 2 this weekend, and then next Tuesday at home. As always, I'd like to thank the head coach for Kip Staggs and the advanced broadcasting class that produced it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian basketball.